Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question. Fred, Fred always puts down a little cheat sheet for me. He writes down a few things he wants to talk about, and boy, one of them right at the top of the list is get the weeds while they're young.
Yeah, and this is so true, Mark. The cuticle on the leaf is much like our skin. The inside of the hand, used to some rougher work, is thicker and can take more punishment than the top end or top side, and so on. And that's also true with bulbs. This time of year, they're young, they're growing fast, the cells are probably as big as they're ever going to be, and the cuticle is not very thick, so what you spray, for example, a morning like this, where the bulb is, not the bulb, the dandelion is already wet and other weeds accordingly, you put the liquid on, which is my choice, or the dry, which will be absorbed quite nicely, goes in through the foliage, as the water dries and so on, goes down to the root goes, and then the top dies. Now, it is not uncommon, even in young plants that are very vigorous like this and take up the material quickly, that you might have to respray. Many of the modern advertised materials say one time, and I don't want to differ with that, but don't hesitate to look back in 10 to 14 days to see if there's something that has either germinated since or maybe didn't thoroughly die. And it's kind of funny how I have sprayed and various weeds. One time I allowed some thistles to get ahead of me, and I know I drizzled the proper quantity mix and so on of weed killer down the stem. I know the top died. I saw it. I cut it off or kicked it off or whatever. And I swear the next time I went to the garden, there was another one standing there,
yeah.
or maybe 4 or 5. They're vengeful. That's all there is to it. And then what is actually happening, though, you have killed the top. And that, of course, is a major step, but you didn't get enough into the plant through the top that died to kill the little stuff coming up. So I tell people frequently, be prepared to spray 3 times. This is not to fight the chemical industry. This is just a reality check, because a lot of it is coming from the mother plant, so to speak, or certainly all these weeds that are growing at this point in time, or did last year at this point, set out seeds, they germinated, or were there ready to germinate several weeks ago, and they'll come back at you really quick this time of year. They have the energy of a young child, where they grow like crazy and then they sleep. And then they grow like crazy and they sleep. It's just one of those things that happens.
Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Howard and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
Circle270media.com